Hi, I'm Noah Feldman. I'm the author of a book called Scorpions, which I'm hoping you're going to read. And that book is about the Supreme Court in a moment very similar to our world today. A moment where the country was in a deep crisis, where the Constitution and the system of government needed to be changed in fundamental ways to improve things, and in which the President of the United States, then Franklin Roosevelt, took huge risks in choosing the right people to do the job. Those people were very different than the people that we typically see going on the Supreme Court today. Today, safety is always the most important concern. Can the nominee be gotten through the Senate? But 60 or 70 years ago, when President Roosevelt decided it was time to take risks, he chose people who were much more flawed, much more complex, and ultimately much greater than many of the justices that we see in our present world. The men I'm describing began as friends and allies, but once they were put on the Supreme Court, their personalities were so big, their ambitions so enormous, their desire to leave their mark on the Constitution so huge, that they eventually began to become enemies. And when Franklin Roosevelt, their ally, died, there was nobody to rein them in, and they began to attack each other. And that's why, actually, I called this book Scorpions, after an expression that one of their law clerks came up with and that subsequently became famous. The Supreme Court is 9 scorpions in a bottle. 9 strong personalities, 4 of them described in this book, stuck in the same building, engaged in the same job, each trying to leave their mark, end up turning on each other. But what's extraordinary about these 4 men is that, notwithstanding the fact they couldn't work together as a team, they produced, through their mutual hatreds, some of the greatest and most important developments in the history of our country and in the history of our Constitution. And they were able to do it precisely because they wanted to prove to each other that they were smarter, that they were more influential, that they could do a better job of saving the country. There are times when working as a team is a good thing, but there are times, and constitutional interpretation is one of them, when competing visions have to emerge. And mutual hatred can actually be a spur to greatness if you start with the right raw materials. If you start with people who are smart, who are self-made, who are broad in their interests and in their experiences, and who have, yes, huge ambition. In today's world, it's not clear that we can get people like that anywhere in our government, much less on the Supreme Court. I think we're the poorer for it. So in this book, I try to tell the story of a world in which that was still possible. And I hope that that through the story, it'll be possible for us to imagine what it would be like to live in that world again today. So that's the story of the book, and I really hope you'll enjoy reading it.